Hey everybody, Unstable Gamer here, and welcome back to Marvel Realm of Champions. In this video, this is going to be the first of many player guides. We're going to be focusing on Sorcerer Supreme, take a look at her kit, see her animations, and just talk about gearing and everything there is to know about this specific character. But first, before we do, if you're just now finding this channel and you want to stay up to date with this and other games, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Alright, and welcome back. So, Sorcerer Supreme, the reason why I wanted to go with this character first for the first guide is a couple different reasons. Number one, she's my favorite character in the game. Number two, I believe she is at the top. She is easily one of the top two best characters in the game right now. Also, we want to take a look at alternate weapons. There are alternate weapons in the game for a few of the characters. I think ultimately everyone is going to have it. But right now there's only 3 characters in the game, and Sorcerer Supreme is one that has both of those weapons. And it does change the attacks and how the character plays, and I have both of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take a look at her kit. I'm going to go through gearing and kind of give you an idea of what I focus on when I'm building this character here. We're going to take a look at the differences between what I call the shield sorcerer and the stun sorcerer, and that'll come into play here in just a little bit. And then at the end of the video, and I will have links in the description below if you want to just skip to the gameplay stuff, but I do have gameplay for both specs as well. All right, so Sorcerer Supreme. When we go ahead and take a look at the basics, when you look at the difference between this sorcerer, the shield sorcerer, and the stun sorcerer, everything is the same except for the last 2 abilities. So those are the only 2 that we're going to key in on when we talk about the differences between the 2. So as far as your combat skills, every character is set up the exact same way. You have a basic attack, you have a dodge, and you have a heavy attack. It does tell you there what you need to do. So right now the basic attack is the bolt. Sorcerer Supreme releases a simple bolt of energy. That's just your basic light attack. You just keep tapping the screen, and that is your quickest attack. Your dodge is going to be your swipe in any direction, so you can dodge attacks, so you can dodge telegraphs on the ground. If you're not familiar with telegraphs, typically when somebody casts a spell, there will be a telegraph. There will be something on the ground that shows you where that spell is going to land. And it does give you a quick opportunity, if you recognize it quick enough, to dodge out of the way of it. And then you have the heavy attack. Heavy attack is where you do that press and hold, and that's the missile. So she charges up and releases a projectile that explodes upon impact to deal mystic damage. Now, with the gear and stuff like that, you do have resists and things like that will come into play, I think, probably a little bit later. Right now, I think it's a little too early for that. Alright, so let's take a look at her special ability 1. So you have special ability 1, 2, and 3. This right here is the same ability as with the stun sorcerer. And so Sorcerer Supreme conjures an aura that heals allies that stay near. Now she really is, this shield sorcerer, or the Sorcerer Supreme overall, is really the only healer in the game right now. So that's important, especially when you're going into some of these higher levels of co-op, or you're going against these stronger teams in versus. Having a little bit of healing helps. It's not a massive heal. It's not anything too fantastic, but it is enough to keep you up and running. I think the best source of healing when you're in the battlefield, when you're on the battlefield, in versus are going to be the heal orbs that you're going to see. These green orbs that you can run into. They're available to everybody, so you got to hit them while you can. And then when you're in co-op, there is, when you're next to that ISO crystal, whatever they call it, crystal tower little thing. Anyway, it heals you as well between waves, so something to keep in mind there. So both sorcerers, the shield and the stun, does have this heal. Now where it gets a little bit different, and again, the difference is in the weapon. You have the book and you have an orb. Right here is the book. So right here, your second ability right here, she calls upon the powers of Nervalon to deal mystic damage and inflict weakness to all enemies in the target area. So you're going to see this rune type graphic on the ground, and that is typically the one that I lead off. A lot of taking a look at the gameplay footage that you're going to see. Usually what I do in the very beginning, because you don't need the heal right off the bat, and you don't have access to your shield right off the bat. So usually I'll have that ready to go. And the way that you want to do that, because there is time for people to dodge out of the way, is you kind of want to go ahead of where somebody's going. So you got to get a little familiar with movements and things like that and kind of predict where somebody is going to end up. And it's not perfect. Not 100% of the time. You're going to miss. But once you get it down, then you're going to have, you'll get better at it and you'll trap them a little bit easier. So that is that. That is specific to the shield sorcerer here. And then you have this right here. This is why I call her the shield sorcerer. So the shield of Seraphim. She channels a magical shield that protects her and nearby allies from damage. Typically, you don't get access to this. There is a charge, and depending on how long it takes for you to get access to your opponent's Modok or Bodok or Modop, whatever they call it, usually after that first round of damage, this will become available. But everybody will typically have damage, have their special ability 3s up at that time. So that's why this is good timing on this, because you'll usually have Iron Man with his triple beam. So when you see that stuff coming, this is going to shield your team and protect them from some of that massive damage that will come in what I consider round 2 from these special ability 3s. So that's what this sorcerer herself has. Now, if we switch the weapon here to that, you're going to see these 2 new abilities here for ability 2 and ability 3. So this right here, this one is a curse. So she curses all enemies in a small area. It is a fairly small area. This one here with the orb, this play style is quite a bit more precise. Also, your mobility is limited, and it takes, in my opinion, it takes a little bit more coordination to get familiar with it. It's a different play style altogether. So in a small area to deal mystic damage over time. When the curse ends, the damage takes additional mystic damage based on health lost over that curse. So when you have opponents that are teamed up and things like this, because it's kind of like it's an area of effect type spell. And if you have people bunched up, things like that, or if you have somebody that's stationary, like when Storm does her ability 3, and she can't move, you can do it there, things like that. So you got to be a little bit more precise on this one because the area is so small. But it does some decent damage there, and it does that mystic damage. Next is this one here. So this is the Bonds of Sitarak. So Sorcerer Supreme appeals to the Lord of the Crimson Cosmos to channel his binding bands around an enemy, dealing mystic damage and applying stun for a duration. Now, it does stun the opponent. However, you cannot move, so that's where some additional coordination comes in. Where if you're in a team that's very aware of what's going on, if you're stunning somebody, your team really should be attacking that opponent. Or if it's a full health opponent and you got a couple other opponents that are just about done, then your team knock them down while you have the full health opponent stunned, and then everybody can converge on that one opponent. So a little bit of strategy in that one as well. So again, a little more difficult. If we're taking a look at kind of how easy it is to play, the shield one, obviously, in my opinion, I think is much more beneficial in there because she's the only one who has shield. She's also the only healer, and those kind of go well in hand. Plus the rune on the ground, I think works out really well. This is good too. A lot of times I will see teams go in with a sorcerer with an orb and a sorcerer with a book. So you have a shield and stun sorcerer along with almost anybody. I mean, you put Storm in there, you put Hulk in there. If you have 2 sorcerers, and everybody knows what they're doing, then it's almost an instant win. Now, the Sorcerer did go through a little bit of a rework. She was massively overpowered, did so much damage. They did bring the damage down a little bit, but I don't think that they brought the damage down too much to really impact how she plays, because she still is very good, and again, in my opinion, one of the top 2 best characters in the game, her and Storm. So I really wanted to show kind of the difference between these 2 characters and what happens when you have an alternate weapon, which I think is pretty cool. And really looking forward to seeing the other characters. So right now, currently in the game, as far as alternate weapons, you have Sorcerer Supreme, you have Hulk, and you have Black Panther. Nobody else yet at this time, but according to some of the questions and answers with some of the devs, they are coming. So there is that. So now when it comes to gearing, I'm just going to switch over to my book. When it comes to gearing, I do have a specific strategy because I think stats are very important based on what it is you're doing and how you want to build your character. Every character can be a little bit different when it comes to the stats that you're applying and how they play. So like for instance, I was in a battle with a Hulk that was 900. My Hulk is 600, but that Hulk at 900 was much more squishy than I was, because on my Hulk, I focus on armor and health, and I throw in a little bit of light attack in there as well. So what I focused on her, number one, I got this rare headpiece, which I thought was really, really cool, but I've got Mystic Power, so it increases the overall damage of my abilities, because my attacks are Mystic based. Plus I have attack power on here, and then light attack power while aura is active. That's what I liked about this one right here, not to mention it's a 3-star helm, or headpiece, so I thought that was pretty good. And this one right here, so book SP2, my understanding of that is that's that ability 2, so that's going to help with the rune, or it's going to help with that AoE, that curse for the orb. Plus, I throw in a little bit of health there so that she's not too squishy. And some of it also has to do with the limitations as far as the stats that are here. Right now, this one right here, for my amulet, I have heavy attack and health. I do have some other ones here, but none of these other ones actually, you see these 3-star ones. This 158, I think, is probably a little bit better once I max it out. I got to find out if maybe one of these, maybe this 83 will go beyond the 158 and give me heavy attack there. But if I had a preference, if I could get this up a little bit more, I'd probably go with light attack power, because again, you can attack a little bit, quite a bit quicker with that. Right here, I have crushing resist, so that helps with some attacks from like Spider-Man and from Hulk and things like that. So that helps reduce some of that damage. Plus my light attack again, so I can do a little bit more damage with those attacks. For this one here, again, I got some crushing resist, and I went some heavy attack power. I throw in some heavy attack power in there because it really helps with the MODOK damage to bring down the opponent's MODOK there. And then this right here, really I just went with the most powerful one, but I got a critical power boost, and I have a bleed resist. The bleed resist helps with Black Panther. So there's a little bit of a mishmash of kind of what I was focusing on in here, and it's actually working out fairly well. I do have this one all the way up at a 604, but again, the playstyle with the orb, I've not perfected it yet, but you'll see how that gameplay looks here in just a minute. So that's kind of where I'm focused with her. I've got some health in there. I've got some light attacks, so I can do a little bit more damage. Some heavy attacks, so I can finish off opponents or do some nice burst damage to that MODOK. And she's working out pretty well. So I'm at her 1.1k right now. And that is it. That's Sorcerer Supreme. I think, again, one of the best characters in the game, the only healer in the game right now, and you do see quite a few of them in there. On the battlefield, both in versus and in co-op. She does well with both game modes right now. So there you go, everybody. That's what I had for you. Really interested in your thoughts on this character. Right after this, just a reminder, we're going to go into some gameplay. You'll see that, and I will leave you with that. Very interested in your thoughts and your questions. If you have anything, definitely leave them in the comment section below. And as always, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. I think we just said that. All right, everybody, take care, and we'll talk to you next time.